When you start to work at Echelon Front, people working there, we talk about leadership all the time, and we hear stories of leadership all the time, and we're watching leadership inside of companies all the time. And so we're constantly like what is it when a doctor thinks they have diseases, or they're constantly checking, and like a psychologist thinks they have these crazy diseases or thinks they have these mental problems. So when you're working at Echelon Front, you're constantly reviewing your whole life and every leadership call that you ever made. And it can be humbling to look at your mistakes. And you also go, I did that one pretty good, but I messed this one up. So you've been going through that process for a few years now. So awesome, man. Let's get into it. You got in your first platoon, got done with Budge, you get in your first platoon. Wasn't there something that went down at land warfare? Some Chemlite scenario that happened? What was that all about?
Yeah. So, new guy tour, even an officer, it's a new guy tour. So you're trying to prove yourself at all times. Land warfare was our first real block of training, which, as you know, and Echo probably knows now as well, sitting in that seat for as long as he has, that's kind of like the proving ground for the SEAL teams is land warfare. That's where, bread and butter, all the hard work. That's where the platoon comes together, or doesn't come together sometimes, but that's where I think your character is tested more than any other place. Super hard training, long hours. I went through, it was always the summertime when I went through, so it's average day out at Nyland's like 115, something like that. So, first time to prove myself, I'm doing pretty solid. Training's progressing. We get to right about the portion where we're going to start doing the field training exercises.
And what are you, a squad leader at this point?
Squad commander.
And a squad commander.
Yeah, we changed
Only
the verbiage.
Only the SEAL teams could do that.
Change that
Only
verbiage.
the SEAL teams
which
would
means
change.
like you're in charge of 8 people, but you're not really in charge of 8 people.
That's classic. Did you have 2 junior officers and one platoon commander?
So it was myself, Rob Birch, who's about to retire after doing 20, prior enlisted guy, total stud. I'm actually linking up with him tonight to hang out a bit.
Right on.
Total stud, one of those guys that's like just good at everything he does. And then platoon commander, platoon chief.
So, yeah, because back in the day, there was only 2 officers in the platoon commander, and then an assistant platoon commander. And then at this juncture, because the SEAL teams has always got some kind of new flavor going on. So at this point in the SEAL teams, it was, all right, you're going to have one officer, and then each squad is going to have its own leader.
Correct.
No, commander. Okay,
Commander.
so you're a squad commander.
Yeah.
Bro, this guy was in charge of 7 other dudes, and he's getting called commander. Oh, yeah. Okay, hey, we'll go with it, dude. All right, so you're a squad commander, and what's going down?
So you're getting towards the point of training where you're going to do the FTXs, which is, put everything together. Mm-hmm. So it's simulated real-world operation. All of our training is iterative, so they're building blocks. We've been doing patrolling, we've been doing IADs, we've been doing reactive contact drills, and now you're starting to put things together. So before the first FTX, you do some raids practicals. And just think of a raid, for those listening, as it's the actions on. So it's not getting you to the target, you're at the target, you're setting up positions to take the target down, and then it's basically the actions that you would take to take the target down. So typically what happens is there's 2 good formations to take to conduct a raid. Either everybody's online or you set that L. The reason being is obviously you want to make sure that you know where all your people are, and you want to make sure that there's no potential fratricide out there. So online minimizes that, and then an L also minimizes that, but you've got to have some control measures in place with that L, because you've got what's called a base of fire and then a maneuver. So my element is the maneuver element. The sister platoon, so our other platoon that we were going through training with, 18 SEALs, they're the base element. The base element are the guys that are going to just be hammering the target with heavy machine gun fire, probably some Mark 40, so 40 Mike stuff like that. But they're just softening the target for a long period of time. And then after a certain period of time, then the maneuver element gets up and you start to push through. But right as you get up, the base element is still providing that cover fire. At some point in time, the base element has to do what we call shift fire, which means now they're still shooting, because when I'm shooting, bad guys keep their heads down, but they're not shooting potentially directly at the target. They're shifting their fire at a 45-degree angle to create some space for the base element to come in. And
for the assault element.
For the assault element to come in. And then at a certain point of time, the assault element has to signal to check fire. And check fire is when you're close enough to the target where it's now unsafe. the assault element takes over the assault. The base element has to stop shooting to keep everything safe. So perfect world, that's what happens. So I am a commander, so I'm given some extra responsibilities by my platoon chief, and I'm what's called the hinge man. So I am the guy in the assault element that has to signal to the base element when it's time to shift their fire and then when it's time to check the fire. So that's, a big responsibility for me. Again, always looking to prove myself, super fired up. So how we do this, at least at the time, was we had what's called a chem light bundle. So imagine a bunch of little chem lights, you tape them together, you throw them in the air. It's a visible cue for the base to say, okay, there's the chem light bundle. That's our cue to shift fire. The next chem light bundle, which is a different color. So the first one we threw out was green. That means shift fire. The next one that I throw out is red, and that's their sign for check fire. So the only way that they know how to shift fire and check fire is through that. Now you're thinking, well, comms. Sure, we have comms, but the guy right beside you is lighting up with a Mark 48 bell-fed machine gun. You can't really hear much of anything. So this is the two signals: green chem light bundle, red chem light bundle. So I've rehearsed it a bunch of times in my mind. I'm going to walk you through what it looked like, and then I'm going to walk you through what actually happened. So we start, base element just starts hammering it. To that point in time, is the coolest thing I've ever seen as a new guy. You're just watching tracers just rip through everything. You've got 18 SEALs online. 18 SEALs, that's probably 4 Mark 48s and 3 46s. You're just getting after it. We start making our move. I want to prove myself. I want to show that I'm young and aggressive. I don't want to throw that chem light bundle out too soon. So we start walking, and we're starting to get close. And at about the 20-yard mark, where I'm just watching tracers zip by, chem light bundle comes out. Shift fire. We go about another 20 yards. I throw out the red chem light bundle, check fire. We do the raid. It goes great. After action reviewed right there on the scene, the traded instructors come up to us and they said, hey, that was legit. That was the best raid we've ever seen. That was the closest we've ever seen anyone allow their squad to get before they shifted fire. That's what we're talking about. That's the aggression we want to see. So I'm feeling pretty solid about myself. There's a guy in our platoon whose nickname is Grinch. He's the senior E6 that's not in a leadership position. He's kind of like the guy that all the E6s look up to, total stud. Very quiet, but he's called the Grinch for a reason. I don't think he's ever said a word to me up to this point, but he comes over to me and kind of gives me a tap in the chest, and he's like, F yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. So again, I'm taking that on board, prove myself. At least that's what it looked like to everybody else. What really happened is I take the chem light bundle, and I'm thinking about the best place to store it. I've got 2 of them. The colors matter. You've got your nods on. You can't really see a whole lot of anything. So, color-wise, once you bring them up, everything just looks like a big glowing bundle. So I'm like, all right, green bundle, the first one I'm going to put right here, center mass, in my kit, kind of in one of my ammo pouches, so that way I know right where it is. I can grab it, chunk it. Second one, I attach to my hip with a little cord that I can just pop off and chunk it. So we're marching. I do want to prove myself, so I want to get close. So I don't even start messing with the chem light bundle until we're probably about 50 yards away. And then I go to grab the chem light bundle, and I can't get it out. I don't know what it was caught on, but it was caught on something. And we're walking. I'm making sure that the whole platoon's online. We're walking. I'm trying to yank it out. I can't get it out. There's something that I could do to stop and just make sure that no one gets hurt, and that's to yell ceasefire. There's no way in hell, as a new guy, I'm yelling ceasefire on a range where my chief gave me the responsibility of being the hinge man in front of the sister platoon, in front of all the trainers. So I'm like, freaking out at this point, because I'm thinking there's no other way. I'm going to have to yell ceasefire, and then I'm just going to get called out. My reputation is going to be ruined forever for screwing this up. I'm yanking. I can't get it out. I don't know what it's caught on. I can't see anything with my nods on. So I just, grab my knife out of my pocket, and I'm just slashing everything that I can possibly slash on my kit to try to get it to break free. And it eventually breaks free. I'm like, the second it's free, I just chunk it up, shift fire. Then, the other one was easy to get off, check fire. So I don't think I've ever told anybody in my platoon that story before, but I went from, I didn't say anything to anybody, of course. I took the credit that everybody was giving me. But it was up to that point the scaredest I've ever been in the SEAL teams, because I'm like, I'm either going to have to call ceasefire, which you know how that makes me look, or I'm going to get my squad killed by walking into this line of fire. So I got some kudos for it. They probably weren't deserved, but at the time, a win was a win, so I took it.
And just so everyone knows, there's our range safety officers that would have blown the whistle.
He was right beside me.
Yeah, he's right beside you. He's probably watching your dumb ass. He's probably the only person that would. You probably owe that guy a beer. And there's the range safety officer with the base element. That's all. They're on nods. They can see where everyone's going. So there is some control. There's a lot of control in those live fire evolutions. But that is. It's interesting that you would rather die than look like a wimp out there, which is very common.